You're hanging out in the House of Sunny podcast, where it's always sunny, mostly because of your host, comedian and YouTuber, Sunny Lohman. Want to know what Sunny and her friends are thinking about this week? Well, here she is, Sunny Lohman.
Hey everybody, welcome to the post-election House of Sunny podcast. Good to have you here. I'm here with Doug. What's up, Doug?
Hello, Sunny. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty well after a couple days of not feeling so great. I think today I've regained my optimism, so I'm and just kind of my reality orientation.
Right.
To get swept up in the emotions.
I'm glad we weren't doing this
down.
a few days. I'm glad we weren't doing this 24 hours ago.
I know. I mean, I thought about, let me change this to speaker view. There we go. I thought about doing something yesterday morning, and I'm not, let's wait for things to settle. And one thing Scott Adams said on his podcast I thought was so great. He's like, okay, we're entering, this was like right after the election, we're entering into that phase where everything you read is suspect. Like, don't believe anything. Everything is potentially unbelievable. And I think that's true. Like, people were just kind of freaking out yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Both sides. Both sides. The commies and the good guys. All right. That's how I'm going to refer to them. I'm having a little problem with volume here. Just got to turn up my volume. Okay. So I think today we'll just kind of give our hot takes. And I think that I'm not feeling, can you hear that, Doug?
No.
Are you hearing that sound thing? Okay.
No, that's just in your mind again.
Those ticks in my mind, or you can't hear that?
The people
You
are
don't hear
coming
Trump
there.
right now? You don't hear Trump talk to you?
No, the Chinese woman is not in the room again.
Right. So we'll give our hot takes, and then, but I think, at least from my perspective, yeah, it's like nothing is good. It's not great, but it's not new. Like, we didn't know this wasn't going to happen. So I think for me, my quick hot take is we've been predicting this. You and I have been talking about it on the show for the last 2-3 months. This is the train wreck that we're watching coming, and this is it. Here we are. Everybody knew it was going to happen. Trump knew it was going to happen. If he's not prepared, if he doesn't have his legal team in order and he's not prepared to deal with this, I don't know. There's really not much that can be done except to get upset and riot in the streets like they do. But there are people, what I just want people to do is to actually face the reality of the situation, which to me is obviously that Trump won, and now the Dems are slowly trying to steal it, which is exactly what we said was going to happen. They said it was going to happen. The Dems, it's not like we made this up. They've orchestrated this. We saw it coming. We're not stupid, as Giuliani said, right? Do you think we're stupid? Someone on Twitter, I think it was Molly from the Federalist, said, old Republicans allow losing elections by cheating gracefully. New Republicans, no, don't do that. But like, next stage Republicans will be go to war over it. I don't think we're at that stage. I think if Biden does win, well, no matter who wins in the end, half the country doesn't accept it. And that's the country we live in. So no matter what happens, no matter what the count, what the vote, who gets in office, this is the situation that we are facing, is that we're in a country where half the country thinks the other guy's choice is really, really evil and bad. Isn't that weird? Like, what's weird to me is how anyone can't see that they're the ones that are evil and bad,
Good point.
Especially because they're the ones burning down buildings. But anyway, they said they were going to do it. They're doing it. But so then the second part of this is don't give up. Like, this is the fight. This is it. Like, to just be like, oh, okay, it's over. Biden wins. Like, it's over. Or the election happened and now the Dems are doing this and people are getting dispirited. But we knew it was going to happen. And this is what the more time goes on, the more I realize freedom takes effort. And I think that our flaw right now, what has been our flaw this century, is we forgot that. Like, we don't go to school councils. We compromise. We don't have integrity around our freedom. We just let it sort of slip away incrementally because, well, I don't want to make a fuss and I don't want to lose a friend, or I don't want to lose business, or I don't want to lose that great employee, or, whatever or I don't want to waste my time. I'd rather go home to my kids than go to the city council meeting. You have to put time into it or you don't have it. And so this time and effort, and here we are, we're in a situation where we have to put time and effort into it. And that isn't going to change with an election. Even if Trump wins this battle, half the country it doesn't accept him. So we have to continue to fight for our freedom. And we have to fight him for our freedom. And the Republican Senate, if that stays, I mean, those people especially. So I think my message is get involved. It keeps being the message. Get involved locally, continue to fight. And like, it's just not going to be different. There's not going to be some world where you don't have to do that. And so, like, personally accepting that is something I've been thinking about the last couple of days, that, yeah, this is it. This is how it is. This is life. Like, it's not so dire or so awful that I have to fight for my freedom. Right?
That's exactly right. Go ahead.
That's it. That's my hot take.
Goodbye,
okay,
everybody.
Show's over. See you later. And on that note, I've decided to take a break from podcasting.
Oh, no.
Seriously. So there you go. Goodbye. Good luck.
Good luck with all that shit.
Good luck. Take what I said, and I'm not going to do that, though.
I'm just going to chill.
Just kidding. I am actually going to do that. But in a different way, perhaps. I need a break from kind of the cycle, and I want to work on some writing and reading projects, and the holidays is a great time to just kind of, it's stressful anyway. So I need to set something aside so that I can do the work that I want to do. So
okay, so that'll last 24 hours. I know you too well.
I know. You said 1.3 days when I told you I was going to do this. I give you 1.3 days.
Maybe pi days, 3.14 days.
If we could fundraise off that somehow, we could make a lot of money.
I think you know what? You and I have not talked since the election at all.
Right.
We purposely didn't want to talk to each other because we know I don't want to influence you. You don't. So I have like very concrete, very medium term, and very long term ideas. So everyone strap in for the next 3 hours.
Okay,
everyone's going, no.
Short term. Hour 2, long term, hour 3.
Well, I'm going to echo a lot of what you said anyways, and just kind of go through this. First of all, I'll start really concrete. The election's not over. And I'm going to get to why I don't even think that matters. But let's just say, for one, this election isn't actually over. There's all sorts of stuff happening every minute. So I'm trying to keep aware of it, but it's possible that he wins. Okay, so let's say, and again, I'm going to echo exactly what you said. Let's say that Trump wins. 50% of the country is ready to burn down the other half of the country. And what I was saying is that no matter who wins here, the bigger picture is we're in a war. Yeah. And there are many battles within a war. And so politics, I think, is the metric by which you evaluate your success or failure in the war. Because ultimately, if you're trying to live in a country that's free, I mean, our goal is a free country, free minds, free markets versus totalitarianism. That's essentially what we are fighting for. And there's many, many battles that'll take place. And like you said, price of freedom is eternal vigilance, the old line. Part of life is fighting for your own freedom and for your own life. And we cannot get into this utopian mindset where we think, gosh, if we just had the perfect candidate.
Exactly.
And we just had the perfect political system, we could all just go home and live our lives and do the things we really want to do and never have to worry about politics again. That will never happen, ever.
That is exactly what I'm saying. And I think that, and me included in this, like, I'm not scolding anybody because this has been me. Not getting involved locally, not really, like, leaving all of this up to people who want to do it, And then it turns out it's the leftist activists and communists who want to do it and who are being funded to do it. And like, oh, gee, like suddenly I don't have a school system that thinks it's a good idea to teach that America's like got some good points. So I think that we have forgotten, and I do think that my grandparents and their parents were much more civic minded. And I was reading a statistic that I think this was in the same Angelo Codavio article, maybe, that our grandparents had the opportunity to be on 117,000 school boards around the country, and now there are only 15,000. So just think about how little power, because things have just been centralizing, and we've allowed that to happen. Because we're just like, oh, times are good. This country's great. Our neighbors are good. We like them. We'll just sit back and live our lives. And politics has become, I think people think of it as distasteful, dirty, or something like that. But what is except maintaining your freedom. So how can that be distasteful and dirty? Getting involved is important. And whatever form that takes for you, obviously people can't do everything. People do have lives to live. But I think that the last 100 years, or maybe less than that, I don't know what's happened, but it's like people who are good people have stopped being involved. They just don't.
Well, so first of all, you're totally right. And I went to a little Republican get together the day of the election where there was a U.S. Senator, U.S. Congressman, the chairman of our local party, all these people. And you know what? I pulled up into a parking lot with a friend next to a pizza place, and we got out, and I was standing next to a United States Senator, and I was standing next to a U.S. Congressman, and to a state senator and a state representative and all the local people. They were all there at this thing. And then they had cookies and stuff. And there were like 30, 40 people there. I could literally go up, and we did. We went up to the chairman of the party locally and said, hey, we've been hearing that the mayor of our city who's a SJW asshole, is planning some shenanigans. They're moving ballot boxes. They wanted to move the vote count to a strange location. And he was going to be, so my friend, whose wife is also a poll watcher, they went at 2:30 in the morning. They said, let's go down to where they're counting the votes. 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah, nice.
And this gentleman I know is just a cancer survivor. He's still in protocol right now. And they, in the middle of the night, went down there, and the mayor was sitting there with his weird henchman. And I don't want to go into the whole story, but it's kind of interesting. His henchman was a flamboyantly gay, black weightlifter guy. And they showed up and started just, politely asking some questions and kind of looking over. And this guy went crazy within 20 seconds, threatened them, told them to get out. and I'm still wondering why the mayor was sitting at a polling place. I mean,
Yeah. What's he doing
and
at a polling
what,
place at
what do
2:30 in
you,
the morning?
what are you doing here? And so he wrote to, the clerk of courts, who he's going to be talking to today. He wrote to the Republican Party, blah, blah, blah. This is the kind, I mean, that's heroic. I mean, that's awesome that he went and did that. And now imagine if a lot of people were willing to do that. So anyways, my point is that it really, this is sort of part of life, is
exactly.
There's no utopian solution. Don't say, well, the candidate's not perfect. We know that two candidates or one candidate is never going to map into your political ideology. It doesn't matter. Like, I mean, if it was really, really bad, yeah, I guess it wouldn't matter. But in this case, close enough. Go down there. You can go talk to people and get immediately involved. And I'm telling you, you go to a city council meeting or something, there's like 3 people there. These are the people that are running your life.
Yeah, you'll be 25% of the people there.
You show up to this stuff and someone's just, oh, good, someone showed up. Ooh, hey, great.
You're right. These people are running your life. And then, the libertarians say, well, but they shouldn't have that power. Well, but they do. So go down and take it from them, or tell them what to do with that power. Like, you have to, there is no utopia where we can just hang out and live our lives. You have to be involved in your community leadership. And then that goes all the way up the chain. And we can vote in Donald Trump, who, like, let's say we agreed with him about 100%. Like, let's say he was that perfect candidate who also not only fought, but was very intellectual and, which I actually think he's pretty smart, but let's just say he's the never Trumper's perfect candidate, like statesman, freaking Thomas Jefferson. He would still need us to show up after voting. Like, it's just not enough to just vote. So.
And also, let me make a few other things. 2, don't support evil. I mean, that's an easy thing to do. Just, look at where your kids are going to college, look at what schools you're endorsing. Mm-hmm. And, just, first of all, don't support evil. Secondly, there are a ton of, if you don't want to fight and you don't want to show up, give money to the people that are fighting. There's a lot of great organizations, I mean, out there.
Yes.
Like look at what FIRE has done. That's the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education, who fights legal battles on behalf of students and faculty. I mean, they're influencing the world. I don't know how many people work for them. It's probably not even that big of an organization, but think of what just one group like that could do. Or
what's
what
that
Judicial
org
Watch
that
has
always
done.
I was just gonna say Judicial Watch. Yeah, Judicial Watch.
They single-handedly exposed the whole FISA abuse.
Not only that, but there are individuals, the free speech issue in journalism. If it bothers you, like Glenn Greenwald recently had to resign from his own.
From The Intercept.
From The Intercept, which he set up after not being able to have journalistic integrity at the last place. So he made a new company where he could have journalistic integrity, and then found that he couldn't. And so what did I do? I sent him $100. I'm like, dude needs our help. Dude needs to be able to form a new organization. We can't lose that voice, and we can't just have him be canceled by these assholes, So there are other people like that I contribute to, that I think are speaking, Patreon and stuff like. I don't actually have a Patreon account, so I find another way to do it. But there are a lot of good voices out there you could contribute to individually. Cheryl Atkinson, real honest journalists. That's how you get rid of the mainstream bullshit. You support those people. There was the Kyle Rittenhouse Fund to get him out of jail. They're trying to raise $2 million to do that because he's now been this kid's 17 and he's been extradited to stand and he's got $2 million bail. It's unbelievable what they're doing to this child. And, support his legal fund. There's so much you can do with your money too. And I don't give it to candidates, I never give money to candidates, but that's one way to do it, I guess, if there's a really good candidate. Like I didn't give any money to Trump. I gave money to Glenn Greenwald and to, you know,
But
journalists.
look, if there is a candidate, and I'm telling you, for the business people out there, if there is a good candidate locally, or even a moderate candidate, you know
Yeah.
what? You give that guy $500 or $1,000, you're gonna have lunch with that guy,
You can have
and
access.
and you're gonna go talk to that guy, and you're gonna tell him what's up, and you're gonna find out. And you know what? It's not that hard. Like
Right.
there are not a lot of people doing that. There are like 10 people doing that, and I've held fundraisers for Congress people in the past. Um, One of the people I did that for is now a U.S. senator. I could probably
Yeah.
call that guy and say, "Hey,
Right.
what's up with this?" And he would probably take my call. Maybe not now, but
Yeah.
maybe he would. But anyways,
You
my
know,
point is that this isn't that hard.
yeah. They are accessible, and you can make a difference. Just by, you don't even have to forget money, like just showing up. But there are many, many ways to get involved. I try to focus more on content, and because that's something I can do that other people can't do. So I think, well, that is how I make a difference. And that's something I really want to do. I need to step away because I don't know that me talking every week right now is the right. I just want to direct it into another place that might have more impact. And I need more time to do that. I'm still dealing with health issues and the holidays and family issues and stuff. So I just need to like drop something. So, but we'll be back in January, early January is what I'm thinking. I don't want to, I didn't mean to digress there, but yeah, I think we're on the same page. It's interesting that did you come to the same epiphany, independent, like, or did I trigger you thinking about this when I?
No, not at all. I mean, I've been writing stuff down for a day coming into this podcast, and
isn't that interesting?
and
Why
and
is
I
it that we're having the same thoughts?
logic, brilliance, genius,
I think that's right.
or we're just both brainwashed in the same direction.
That's right.
But
we read the same articles.
we're in the same cult,
But I actually haven't heard anybody say that. To me, that is my unique integration. And I'm glad to hear that you're kind of coming to the same conclusion. Other people will.
Well, so I went through, I mean, I think I went through what everybody went through, where,
Yeah.
I go to bed late at night on election night thinking, oh my God, Trump won. This is amazing. And then I wake up like a few hours later and it's totally flip-flopped. And I'm like, what the fuck happened? And then you start going through all the election fraud and this vote dumps in Michigan and Wisconsin and elsewhere. And I was outraged and I felt really anxious, to be honest with you, because it would be one thing if the country was 80% socialist and we were just getting landslided, and you're like, well, okay, that's the battle we have to go fight now, or we got to figure out how to get out of here or whatever. But that's not what's going on. When you have one side that's brazenly cheating, to me that causes more anxiety almost than knowing that you're just ideologically in a minority, because this is dangerous. We're at a point where,
well, there's no way out of that. I think that's what's scary about it, is if it's just convincing people or, maybe dividing up or something like that. But when you know that there's a machine out there that you can't really see, this well-funded, well-organized machine that is just going to rob you, it's just it's a less clean way, I guess, of losing. I would rather lose to my fellow citizens who just don't like Trump or want socialism, as you say. But the idea that, I don't know, that there's these billionaires out there that are stealing the election, and how do I defeat that? It just feels almost too big.
Yeah, because it's you're getting into almost a physical battle situation, because ideology is one thing. I think cheating in an election and an
now you have a bully, and now you have to punch. It's
not a debate.
Right.
It's a bully, and now you got to show up with brass knuckles, and
it's exactly what it is.
And so I woke up and I honestly felt a lot of anxiety personally, because we predicted this, but to see it happening and then to realize, and there's two other things that escalated my anxiety over it, which was, in the past, there's been vote fraud since the United States was founded, and probably before that. So there's been massive vote fraud throughout our history in various elections that are famous. And so this isn't new. Vote fraud isn't completely new. What's new to me is we have a media and tech monopolies that are suppressing information in real time. And I think we're at a point now where I think the Democrats could literally come out and say, you know what? We backed up a bunch of trucks and we brought in a bunch of boxes of ballots, which seems to be what happened in Michigan. And, that's what we do. Sorry. And I don't think the mainstream media or the tech giants would allow that to come out. I mean, I think it's almost that bad where they can admit what they're doing.
I mean, we even said that. I don't know if you remember that, but we said that on this podcast that they can get away with anything because the media and social media is on their side. They can they keep doing it in front of our faces. Like, this isn't us making it up. They keep getting away with, they got away with a coup against a president. The FBI and what? And those people are not in jail.
So we have
They're getting away with crime at the highest level, treason. And they can absolutely pull a truck up with boxes of ballots, 100% for Biden, anywhere they want. And the mayor's there to make sure nobody does anything to ruin his little plan.
And they're putting up boards on windows so no one can watch what they're doing.
Yeah.
Literally. That this can happen and no one's going to report it.
Yeah.
And no one's going to say anything about it. No one's going to object and to me, that's why the country's almost over. And now I'm going to go kind of against what we were just saying, because I think we're in a war. And I think this is a good framework to think in, which is that when you're in a war and you have a lot of battles, you also need an exit strategy and a retreat strategy. You need an attack strategy, and you need hey, we might have to retreat and go like 800 miles away kind of a strategy. But you also, so my point is that, when we have a situation like this where half the country is willing to brazenly cheat and you have no media calling it out, I don't know that we can have a country. Secondly, when the ideological, if we were fighting right now and we were saying, hey, Joe wants 2% tax rates. No, Dave wants 1% tax rates. And that was the kind of battle we were dealing with. I think you can vote over that and you can have like a reasonable debate. I think what's happening now is when half the country is literally for like banning fossil fuels or banning cows or taking away gun rights or, wants to kill babies on a table, after the mother's had it. I mean, you have like one side there and another side who wants no taxes, wants freedom, doesn't want big tech surveillance. When you have that kind of divide, and then you have 500 people in a back room in Philadelphia or Michigan deciding that, and that's going to tip the scales. You can't have that kind of a country. It just doesn't work. I mean, you can. So like if we lived in Alabama and that or some deeply red state, and we were debating, should we allow? Okay, we can't let Jed have a nuclear bomb. Like he can have 75 machine guns, but he can't have, he can't. Like those are the kind of debates we need. Not, hey, one side wants to completely throttle your life, subject you to surveillance, doesn't want free speech, doesn't want you to talk freely in your own home. You can't have a weapon to defend yourself, and we're going to ban energy. And the other, and they want to control your health care and everything else. I mean, and you're going to have 80% tax rates. If that's half the country and the other, you can't have that kind of a divide and then have it split down the middle and then have a bunch of people in a back room tilting the scales for the whole country. To me, that's the anxiety that I have, is you can't have a country like that. And so I think we can battle and we can try and get a majority so that it doesn't come down to a bunch of people in a back room in Philadelphia. And we have to endeavor to do that so that, these should be a landslide election. And then on the other hand, if it was 80% socialists, I would just be thinking, maybe I need to leave the country. Like this country's gone. 80% of the people want a big tech Orwellian society. I got to find someplace else to go. That's not what's happening. So, we got to be thinking war, this is a war. There's a lot of battles. How do we win and keep trying to get a majority and win by the rules we have? And at the same time, recognize maybe we need an exit strategy when the country's this divided.
So what do you think that means? What's an exit strategy to you?
I think, maybe we need
a divorce, like some kind of geographic carve out.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. Like I've been figuring out this thing called freedom cells. With this guy was on Tom Woods' podcast a few months ago, and he's been out there for many years. He's like a libertarian guy. You can check this out. I think it's a pretty interesting idea, a thing called freedomcells.org, where you create a small group locally, and they're trying to connect to bigger groups. And the idea is to eventually assert your sovereignty at a local level and say, you know what, we've got 100,000 or 200,000 people in this region, and we're kind of out. That would probably take a long time, but in the meantime, you can fight for that. I think I think people do have to start thinking about, do we need a union anymore? I mean, why should California be telling Alabama what to do or vice versa? I don't think the whole idea of a union makes sense. Now, I don't know how to fight for that, like long term. At the same time, I think, we're thinking about ways to assert your own sovereignty and to protect yourself locally, and to maybe even look into some of the movements that are thinking about secession. The left has engaged in a very long-term strategy. And they had the benefit of using our laws and the freedom of our country, though, to engage in a long-term strategy. If they start winning, we don't have a long-term, because we don't have free speech, and we won't have a vote because they've rigged the process.
Or guns.
Or guns to fight them. So I think we have a much more compressed schedule than they had. They had 80 years in the so-called quote unquote long march through the institutions, which, a lot of this started in the 20s, and they've had a long-term plan to flip the country, which they've done in large part. And so, but we don't have that. We don't have that luxury, because they're trying to get rid of free speech. They're trying to suppress us, and now they're rigging votes. And so we have to start moving pretty quickly in the war. But we also have to think, we have to think of what's happening today, but we also have to be thinking a little bit long term. Are there legal battles we can win quickly?
I'm okay with this exit strategy. Yeah, everyone should have. I have a lot of anxiety about that, because I'm in California, and my exit strategy kind of sucks. Like it would be very hard to leave where I live and get out, if something, so I can't even really think about that. When I lived in Minnesota, my quote unquote exit strategy was a canoe and the Boundary Waters.
Nice.
You can get to Canada in 5 minutes out in the North Woods. But, I'm kind of tired of this retreat thing. And I think Americans do that too much. And I don't know why culturally that's become a thing. I think people have become more cowardly and less involved, and they're just more, again, it's this thing of, well, I just want to live my life. But as you live your life and ignore the politics and ignore your community and the people who are running it, they are just taking more and more power. And then what do you do when it gets too bad? You move. I'm going to move to Montana. I'm going to try it out there. Well, they're going to come for your ranch. I mean, if you look at like in Rome, when Rome fell, the people with the estates, how did Cicero die, right? They went to his estate and they killed him. That is exactly what he did. He moved to Texas and he got a ranch, and then they just went there and killed him. So, you can't retreat. We have to stop retreating and stop giving up ground. And I think that what that is fighting for your freedom and recognizing that's just something you have to integrate into your life for the rest of your life. And it should have been part of your life before. And the fact that it hasn't been for most people, something happened. I don't know. And we have to have integrity around that, the way the left does, where they're uncompromising. They don't compromise. You don't get to have one extra vote in Pennsylvania that's suspect. You know what I mean? they don't let people get away with that stuff. And we do, because we're the nice guys. So I think part of fighting this war is starting to stand up for ourselves. And first, that is a risk of like speaking out, saying what you think, regardless of who it offends. You have to get over that. I know it's hard. It's really hard. I don't like losing friends, or I think I lost a few friends. I put on Facebook on my personal profile, which I honestly try really hard not to post about politics. And I just endorsed Trump on there. And at the end of my very calm and reasoned endorsement, I said, if you vote for Biden, you're fucking crazy. And I lost some friends over that. Like, some people actually unfriended me, people I know. So that's fine, because you are fucking crazy. You are crazy if you voted for Biden. You kind of make me sick. And I'm okay with not having friends that they can tell me that Trump is literally Hitler, but I'm not allowed to criticize their guy, or what I think is insanity. Like, how can you not be aware of what that side is? And to be someone who would go cast a vote means either you're one of these Democrats that is just caught up in the machine. But for the most part, my friends aren't like that. You know, they think about it and they go vote. So you know something. And to decide to vote for these communist thugs, the corrupt machine, it's hard for me. I don't know, like, how much of it is ignorance. And I don't want to get into the side tangent. My point is, we have to become uncompromising, you know, in our lives and at the local level. We can't just go, oh, well, I made a little victory here in the school board textbook. You know, and take a lesson from Trump, who's like, no, let's just ban critical race theory. I'm just going to ban it because it's rotten. Or don't argue with them. Like, don't get into the nuance with them. Just insist that they get this garbage out of your community. And I think being involved, and being a person involved, and if you and your friends can get involved and be a group involved, then you do have more power. And then your exit strategy can be, let's join together as a community and refuse to comply with this latest outrage from Washington, or what, you know what I mean? Like, that's how you build it back. I think that's the long-term strategy. And it's not just politics. I'm specifically thinking cultural. And one thing that I've realized as a mom with a young daughter, I can see how they're training these little nihilists to grow up with anxiety and despair and just want to be fit in and want to kind of be put into the cog of the country and be little socialists. All of the programming for little kids, especially girls, I guess I don't really know the boy stuff, is kind of dark and creepy. It's all like, you know, oh yeah, there's nothing too bad, there's no swearing or whatever, but everybody's a vampire and everybody's a zombie. And like, it's a little bit wacky. Like, there's a wacky element to it, like a Tim Burton kind of thing going on everywhere. Nothing's wholesome. Nothing's, you know, and if it is, it's cheesy and stupid. So she doesn't like it. She's bored. She wants to watch Lemony Snicket, where the costumes are kind of creepy and over-sexualized, and they're all very exaggerated and extreme, and people are really evil, and the good guys keep losing. Like, it's just, everything's kind of mechanized and creepy and rusty, and, you know, I just feel like they're filling her brain. If I allow it, they fill her brain with this nihilism. That's the only word I have for it. And, you know, I'm struggling with that. So we don't have art. We don't have, then I send her to school where she learns to nag me about how much water I'm wasting, you know, and she's in a private school that is not environmentalist at all, but she still comes home with that because there's a little bit of that everywhere. It's just a given. So I need to make a phone call. I need to call the school and say, what is this BS? My daughter's coming home and scolding me when I turn the faucet on and brush my teeth without turning it off in between brushing and spitting. Why is my 6-year-old doing that?
Wow.
She goes to a private school that doesn't have an ideology. Like specifically, they are like, we don't propagandize here. It's a reason why I like the school. And she's still coming home with that at 6 years old, first grade. Explain that to me.
I
And I
wonder
say,
where
where
the
are you
water
getting
goes.
this? And she says, school. She just says school.
Wow. That's amazing.
So I said, I bought it. I can waste it. That's what I said to her. I don't think she understands that, but I just like, I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know. It's like too deep to counter it. You know, it's too much. Like later I'll have to have a talk with her, but
Just tell her water doesn't disappear when it goes down the faucet.
Yeah.
It's okay. There's
I'll
still
tell her
the
to
water.
look at the ocean. Just look, look, honey. See all that water?
We literally live within a viewing distance of the ocean.
Yeah, the Pacific.
We're okay on water. You know what the?
Yeah, I kind of want to take her back to Minnesota where water gushes everywhere and nobody cares because like there's so much water there. You turn. I go home. I go to my mom's house. I turn on the faucet. It's like whoa, like it's coming. It's like bursting out of the pipes.
Here, have some more.
Here's like a freaking trickle.
You want some water? Here.
Yeah. Anyway, so, I don't really want to get into an exit strategy, except I think you're right. Like we have to have one, but long term, I think it still is the same. It's fight. It's get involved. That's it. And then you'll know what to do when the time comes.
Well, I also wanted to say, you're right. I didn't mean to stress that that's like, as part of the war. I'm just saying like part of your war planning is, not just an exit strategy, but a positive strategy, which I see developing a local community, developing a strong local community, developing bulwarks against, federal law or state laws or whatever, considering secession, all that's part of your planning. But realistically, in the short run, it is a fight. And I think of something like what the Justice Democrats did in creating the squad. I mean, think of what those guys did, which is genius. Okay. I hate those people, but they're genius because they found a couple of districts where they could easily primary someone. They ran radical candidates on their side who really appealed to that little area. And they formed the squad. These are like 4 people that are awful, that have completely transformed the Democratic Party. And they just did that by, in a small congressional district, or I shouldn't say small, but a congressional district where they controlled it, and they got rid of some joker who, was a milquetoast candidate in their mind, and they got AOC in. And AOC, next thing we know, is she's doing sit-ins in Pelosi's office, and she's taken over the fucking country. That's the kind of thing we need to do politically, strategically, is, let's get our people in there. Figure out how to get more radical candidates on our side to win. It would take 4 or 5 people. I mean, look at what, a handful of like really great, brilliant people on the right can do and have done. For our side.
Yeah, it really, that's a really good point there, is really one person can do a lot. The right person. Look what Trump's done. And just to get back to the election for a second, did you notice that Black people voted for Trump? Black men went, 1 in 5 Black men voted for Trump. 1 in 5. And Latinos and women voted for Trump. So, in greater numbers than before, and by a lot. So he is breaking identity politics and the cultural race theory, banning that, and all the ideological stuff he's doing. And just the fact that, and we've said this before, again, I've said this before, The fact that he stands there against all these accusations of racism and xenophobia and says, shut up. Like, that's basically his answer. And people are like, oh no, he's just so rude. But he's guilt-free about it. He doesn't believe it about himself, and he doesn't allow people to call him that. I mean, maybe it's because he's a narcissist. That's fine with me. What he's done is made it okay for other people to stand up against it. And you can see that. And him influencing people like Candace Owens, Kanye, you know, they are then people below him that are uncompromising and unapologetic for their political positions. And as a result, they're pulling people into their out of the Democrat Party and out of that sort of crazy identity politics voting bloc that a lot of minorities have been trapped in. So he's breaking up the balkanized people, like the objectivists and libertarians. Oh, it's tribalism. He's breaking that up. He's actually breaking that up. And you think he's going into a tribe, like an ideological tribe, or forming that with various people. But that's what politics is. I mean, let's all form under a big tent and try to affect some kind of change. He's pulling a lot of Democrats into that tent and a lot of minorities. So he's breaking the communist plan to get women and people of color to vote one way. He's breaking it. That is the proof of that is in the election. So there's no question now. You can see what Trump has done for the culture. That's what he's done. So even if he loses and we get Biden, it's too late. It's too late.
Could there
Trump's
be any more?
Done his damage, right?
I think if that was the only thing that he did, you know, we look back at this historically, it's such a win to make people on that side realize that they are independent, that they are, you know, they've been told. I mean, think of that statement that Biden made. If you vote for Trump, you ain't black. Could you imagine?
A white guy said that, or Chelsea Handler to 50 Cent.
I had to remind him.
I had to remind him he's a black man. I couldn't believe a white woman said that. I couldn't believe that.
Unbelievable.
And Jimmy Fallon. A white guy.
That is the most demeaning, patronizing, disrespectful statement I've ever heard. Yeah,
same here.
And I like Jason Whitlock, who is awesome. He's a sports guy, but he was on Tucker. He had one of the most brilliant segments where he said, you know, that is such when white people say things like that, they're doing it they're not doing that for you, they're doing it for them. Whereas respect is something you grant to the receiver. When you respect someone and you respect their independence and their ability to think for themselves, mm-hmm. You're granting something to the receiver. You're saying, I respect you. When you say something like what Chelsea Handler or Biden said, you're demanding something of them. You're patronizing them. And you're doing that because it makes you feel good. You know, I'm the white liberal who's going to come and save you, you dumb child. Don't you know what's best for you? I know what's best for you. You know, you're doing that to make yourself feel powerful and superior. And it's so disgusting. And I can't believe any man would stand for someone telling them, because of the color of your skin, this is how you should be voting. This is how you should be thinking. Oh God, that just makes me blood boil.
Yeah. So I think that, yeah, if that's all we get is 4 years of Trump, it's too late. Like, the cat's out of the bag, you know? And his greatest achievement will have been to embolden the right and people on the right to speak out, to be uncompromising, to no longer fall for the racism charge, to in fact be offended by that and to push back, to do that with humor. I mean, I love how kind of righteous the right has become. And I think that all comes from his having a leader. And that's why people voted for him, and that's why they liked him, was that aspect of his personality. Because before he was in office, we had no idea what he was going to do policy wise. Like, you know, that was the problem with Trump, was like, who knew what he was? And I think we're all really happy, you know, because it could have been so much worse with what he's done policy wise. But what we all liked about him before 2016, and what we got out of the 2016 primary, was just his absolute toughness in the face of rude, you know, the standard accusations and the attempt to kill him by calling him names.
He was willing to win ugly rather than lose gracefully.
Yeah. And that influence on everybody else. So now you have people like Candace Owens who are saying, no, wait a second, George Floyd is no innocent. Like, let's not put criminals, let's not elevate criminals to hero status. That's stupid. In the midst of this video out there with a knee on the neck, and everybody and their mother, from the Republicans to the, oh, George Floyd, it's just wrong. She's like, wait a sec, you don't know jack about what happened. And this guy's a criminal. Like, he held a gun to a pregnant woman's belly, and he was on drugs and he was high. Like, take a chill pill. Like, let's see what's going on here. Don't react so quickly. And for her to say that in that moment, she's the only voice in America, left and right, willing to say that out loud at that time. We would not have her if it wasn't for Trump. And then after she said it, she emboldened a lot of other people to say it. So, like, this is the critical cultural change that we need to see in order to win. It isn't just a political battle. So I think, you know, that's the other thing I want to say. I don't think our audience has this problem, but you see a lot of people vote people in, or, you know, they want Republicans, and then they get the vapors when they're not perfect. You know, like,
Totally.
There's this, I don't know what I'm saying, but, like, you know, Trump's mean tweet, it drives them crazy, and they just can't keep kind of the big picture, and nobody's going to be exactly in line with you and how you would do things and how you would handle things. And if you want fighters, you're going to have to put up with some rough around the edges.
Well, I would say, has anyone ever had a boss, even a great boss? Did you like everything about him?
Yeah.
Did he do exactly what you wanted him to do?
Yeah.
Never.
A lot of people
So
who
get
run
over it.
companies are jerks. You know, they're tough. So not saying that that's the right thing. And they're certainly, how many times have you met a manager or a person who's just a natural leader, who's tough and doesn't offend people? That is like a gem. That is a rare gem, you know? I don't know how those people do it, but those people are really unusual. So don't expect to find that everywhere. It's not gonna, you're gonna have, I think that the number one choice has to be people who are gonna be uncompromising fighters against the left and the communists on the school board and everywhere else. And then you're gonna have to put up with them being a little prickly and a little bit, you know, people that maybe you don't really like very much even. That's perfectly, I think that you have to get your priorities straight.
Well, look at
And
what the left's
cultural
done.
change and just having that uncompromising integrity is high. Like, I got really pissed at Ted Cruz the other day, and I'm just like I'm so mad at him and over him, even though, oh, look, did you see what he said to Jack Dorsey? Okay. You know,
Easy now.
did you see him on CNN say that the Proud Boys should be condemned like 2 days before that? Because
Traitor.
I did. And that is not uncompromising. That's pussy behavior. And that's why he lost to Trump.
Absolutely. Does anyone really think that, you know, when you have an executive that you've hired for a job, that they're going to be, and that's such a stupid idea, you know, that someone needs to be perfect.
Yeah. I've had to get over that with Candace Owens because, you know, I don't particularly like her.
Yeah, you've
I,
always had kind of a thing.
She rubs me the wrong way. I grew up around a lot of Black people, and she's like that girl that I really couldn't stand, who was basically a bully and, you know, a poser in some ways. I think she's getting better. As she's maturing, and I'm liking her more. But I really do appreciate what she's doing, and I think she's valuable, and I support her. I mean, like, unequivocally, even though I wouldn't really want to hang out with her. I wouldn't enjoy a conversation with her. She's
Right.
kind of narcissistic and
Of
loud, and
course. Of
yeah,
course. You know what? But that's
yeah,
what you need. I mean,
yeah,
people that are successful aren't always like us. And you know what? Maybe you
yeah.
can learn something from those people.
Yeah, like
Um,
I should probably embrace narcissism more and I would be more successful.
you know
I
what
think
I
that's
also,
true. I actually think that's true. I think people who are uber successful tend to be very self-absorbed.
oh, 100%.
Yeah.
They're myopic and they're tenacious and that's how you win. And
Yeah.
so I wanted to mention one other thing too before I forget, which is, the social media thing, which we've spent a ton of time on, I think that's another thing we have to rethink over the next 4 years, which is we need to embrace these alternative platforms and just go nuts. We need a whole new strategy with respect to this. Cause I'm sorry, like you could break up Twitter or Google or, some of these other companies. These are run by evil leftist oligarchs. They're going to do everything they can to fight it. They're probably going to win. And we got to just stop bitching about it and start taking a more aggressive, positive
Yeah.
approach.
I mean, the
But
aggressive approach should be to try to bankrupt them. If that's by pulling I mean, I don't know if every conservative left those platforms, I don't think it would really impact them very much financially.
I think
So
it
I don't know
would.
what you mean.
I think it would in that I think one of the reasons why those platforms are popular is you have a sense that you're speaking to everybody. So, if I'm speaking to three
Yeah,
of my
that's right.
friends that are all on my side, I don't feel like I'm having an effect. When you're on, if Twitter, if everybody left, if everyone was on the right took off and said, okay, you guys have your utopian leftist platform now, no one's going to ever offend you again. I don't think Twitter would be as popular. I don't think the left would like it. I mean, I think people like being in this sort of like maelstrom of all these different views and this sort of free for all. And I think, you know, maybe we just need to go a totally different direction and start adopting these alternatives. And they're not perfect. So shut the fuck up and either build your own, which you're not going to do, or just go complain and make those platforms better. They'll get better as people adopt them and just start using them. And I'm going to
Well,
try and
yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. I feel like I don't know. I have to think about that. I mean, so far my idea has been you need to fight on those platforms until you can't. But simultaneously maybe try to develop alt tech. But you're saying like you can't actually alt tech's not going to work until everybody leaves the other stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? You probably start to maybe you start to attract. I mean, if the totalitarian left wants to inhabit Twitter and have it be perfectly policed, then let them be there. We're not really trying
Yeah,
to.
I don't know what I
I
think
think,
about that. I don't know what I
there,
think about that.
but if Twitter can do what they did during this election, which now they're suppressing anyone who even says that there was some shenanigans in Michigan in the middle of the night, which is just true, or if you question it or show a chart, they're trying to censor. I mean, they are going all in to censor everything on the
Yeah,
right.
they're
I'm
putting
getting
labels
fact
on
checked now. I'm
they're
getting
put
like my posts, they're constantly intervening in our posts. They went into a private group and blocked me from speaking to a private group of people who are my friends. It's just gotten completely crazy.
And they're putting labels on Trump's posts now, which is the first step to banning his. I mean, it's so funny how they just keep inching along. They're going to put labels and then they're going to ban a couple posts and then they'll ban him, suspend him. So that's coming. I don't know. I mean, they're doing such a good job wrecking their platforms themselves. I don't know what, like, I'm to the point on October 15th, they kicked off so many YouTubers that I actually watch that now I am on BitChute like every day, because if I want that content, I have to go there. And I hate the BitChute player because I can't easily forward, and I can't, like, I don't know. I'm still learning it. I'm still figuring it out,
So I
but
think
yeah,
we got
you're
to put
right.
up,
I mean, some of that is right, but I'm not leaving any platform. I'm going to get kicked off. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to leave. I don't think giving up the town square, I feel that feels like a retreat, Doug. It really does.
well, what I'm saying is, okay, stay in the town square until you can't stay in the town square anymore. But in the meantime, I'm saying I don't know exactly what the solution is. I'm not a tech person. I don't like going to different platforms either. Um, but I can see the handwriting on the walls. I mean, these people are evil and they're only getting worse, and they're really become an arm of the Democratic Party. And when we use them, we're enriching them and we're enabling them. So what do you do? I mean, we can fight them legally. We've talked about it a million times. I don't know if that's going to happen or if it's going to work. It's probably not going to work. So, I'd encourage other people, let's keep developing these other platforms.
Yep. That's good. That's good. I agree. We've said that before too. I think, we just keep getting it right. So to sum up, because we just have a few minutes left. Yeah, times are tough, but that's just times. And I think that the reason times are so tough is that we've given up, we've retreated, we don't have integrity around our freedom. We haven't been involved. We're just letting people run our lives without us saying anything. And so the reverse has to happen. And you're right, we have less time. So it'll be interesting to see how things happen, but support the fighters in your communities and in the greater nation, like the Kyle Rittenhouse lawyer, Lynn Wood, and like definitely keep track of these people and don't let the tech. Here's what my strategy is I'm not letting tech tell me who I can and can't listen to. I make sure I'm following these people on multiple platforms so that, if you get banned on YouTube, I just go over to BitChute and they're already stacked up. I don't lose who I was following. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just not going to let them shut those people up or shut my ears from being able to hear what I want to hear. So to me, that's kind of been my strategy so far. And then as a creator, I just think I need to put it out all over the place, and see and just let the chips fall where they may.
That's the way it used to.
Go ahead.
That's the way it used to be, I said. So
yeah. So remember the Thomas Paine quote, the summer soldiers. I just think that's such a good quote. So I'm going to read it. This is Thomas Paine. These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of their country, but he that stands by it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman. Tyranny, like hell, is not easily conquered, yet we have this consolidation with us, that the harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph. What we obtain too cheap, we esteem too lightly. It is dearness only that gives everything its value. Heaven knows how to put a proper price upon its goods, and it would be strange indeed if so celestial an article as freedom should not be highly rated. So it's going to be hard. It is hard. It will always be hard. That we've lost. We've lost this idea that we have to fight. We have to work hard to keep our freedom. You work hard at your job to make money. You work hard figuring out how to raise your kids. Freedom is a component of your life, and it's a value you have to work hard on. And here we are, we're in a dip, right?
Yeah.
We're in a low point, because we've let it rust, and we just have to get out the
I don't
shine.
think we're at, you know what? I'm going to say something that I disagree with there, which is I don't think we're at a low point. I actually think we may have lost this battle. But our army's way stronger than it was 4 years ago.
Yes, I agree with that.
And we are in a much better position going forward than we were. There's a lot of people that are energized. I mean, seeing a 40-mile caravan of cars waving flags and the kind of stuff and the activity and energy that I've seen over the Trump campaign, which I've never seen before.
Yeah, if you think about the difference between this year and the Tea Party, and just the difference in the crowds and the enthusiasm and the kind of the humor and the righteous in your face, it's great. I mean, the Tea Party was great, and this is times 20, the Tea Party.
I agree. I think it is. I think that was maybe a first step in the battle, was organizing a little bit.
If you look at things historically, not everything's going to happen at once, right?
Yeah, there was a Tea Party that kind of waned, and Trump came in and people were confused about that. Now it's reemerged, I think. And so I think we're at actually a high point in terms of our ability. I don't think we would have even been close in these elections without the sort of energy that we had on our side. I mean, after the Obama stuff and, with Hillary Clinton, she was just going to waltz into office and continue the socialist parade in Washington. I mean, think of what he's done. I mean, just the fact that he won is incredible. Yeah. Even if he loses this time, or they somehow managed a way to beat him. And let's carry on. This is one battle. There's going to be a lot of other bigger battles, and we need leaders and soldiers and a plan. And so and the fact that we have 60 million to 80 million people that are revved up on our side. This is not like 5 people in a room on a campus. We have like 80 million people on our side. This is not good. It's not hard, and they're armed. So
right. I was just going to say that. What is there? 10,000 Antifa? Totally could crush that army.
Yeah. It's up to us.
We just don't want to be, we're just nicer people. But we have
a lot to lose.
And we have a lot. We have a lot to lose.
We have more to lose because we have good lives and we're good people, and most of us have families and are successful in life. These are losers. Antifas are losers. They have nothing to lose. And, they're dangerous when people have nothing to lose because they're willing to kill themselves and blow shit up, and because their lives can't get any worse. But we can't give into it. Yeah.
So no retreat. Let's fight. And that's just part of life. I think that's like what I'm trying to integrate is this is just normal. And, I just need to do what I can. So do what you can and do more than you were doing before, and get involved. Don't give up. Don't lose heart. Don't go buy a ranch in Texas and retreat and try to just live out your life without thinking about this stuff. It's necessary that you think about it and that you do something about it. So, or you get what you get.
I'll find you. Don't worry.
I'll find you. Exactly. You will be Cicero on your country estate. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you want to support the show, we will be back in business in January. Please support the show at Subscribestar. We have gotten a bunch of new subscribers lately, which is kind of exciting. If you like what we're doing, I really appreciate it. And I am working on projects. I'm not stopping working. So go over to Subscribestar/House of Sunny, and you can contribute to the show. And hopefully one of the things I really want to do by the end of the year is have my technology situation a little more settled and my website working and a place to donate a little bit more. I'm kind of looking into locals. It's kind of an interesting thing created by Dave Rubin. A lot of people are going over there to put their subscriber base. And I think he's more trustworthy than anything else I'm seeing out there. I just want to see how it works first. So changes are coming. Help me out. Help us out. I think, we have a decent size audience. We're doing our bit every week. I think it could get bigger. And if we could just get Doug to do video, then everybody would want to watch.
Hell yeah. I might even do it shirtless.
They just don't know. They don't know, Doug.
If you did it shirtless, it might be better for Rays, but maybe I should come in shirtless and see what.
Let's do a shirtless episode.
I think dozens of people might tune in to see that if I did that.
All right, we'll plan that. Seriously, when we come back, Doug, you're going video.
That's a threat. By the way, that's more of a threat than
you're going
opportunity.
video. I'm tired of looking at this Doug is cool label.
Yeah. No, I'm ready. I'm working out. All right.
All right. So after the holidays, everybody have a great holiday. Fight the good fight, and we'll see you on the other side.
Called the House of Sunny. It's filled with satire and fun. It's been the demise of bad ideas, and we'll know what's right when she's done. So download this free podcast now and give perspectives you may lack. It's concise and right and achieves world peace, guaranteed all your money back. Last time, ready?